Today is Wednesday, March 3rd, 2026. If we haven't had the privilege of meeting yet, my name is Elliot Moore. I'm a resident here at Church Where You Are, and I'm so excited to be joining you this morning. We are on day 3 of our series, Remain in Me. But before we get into the devotion this morning, let me know in the chat where you're joining us from. In the chat or the comment section, if you're watching on any of our socials, just again, throw it in the chat or the comment section. Let me know where you're joining us from. You may find somebody that's a little closer than you think. We have people from all over the country that get to join us here at Church Where You Are. So again, just throw up where you're from and maybe a little something about yourself in the chat or the comment section. You may find somebody that's closer than you think. The devotion this morning mentions a story. And the story is of a tree that is covered in fruit. Specifically, the devotion mentions that it would be green apples. This tree is just overflowing with green apples. So much so that it's causing the branches to actually weigh down. They're actually sagging underneath the weight of all these apples. I can picture this in my head and the smell and the environment of what that would be like. Except these apples were underdeveloped and unedible. All they did was weigh down the branches. And their whole purpose just sagged down the branches of this tree. They were inedible because they were underdeveloped. Has anyone ever felt that way in their life? And I know that's a weird example comparing yourself to a tree, but have you ever felt weighed down by the fruit of your life? Have you ever felt weighed down by all the different factors in your life? Things like your job or the responsibilities you have to keep going, or family members or friends, or just your schedule in general. Have you ever felt the weight of your fruit? Even the things that you thought that you wanted, even the work that you put in and you got what you wanted, but you just feel like you're sagging underneath the weight of all that fruit? We as Christians, we can be worn down by our fruits. I mean, we can get everything that we want. We can pray that God will give us either prosperity through our job or whatever opportunity it may be. And we get that thing, but still we're weighed down by that fruit. And see, in this example, the problem wasn't that the tree produced fruit. Trees are designed to produce fruit. Obviously, not every tree produces fruit, but the ones that produce fruit, they're designed that way. They're designed to produce fruit. I would imagine it didn't come as a surprise to the tree that it produced fruit. And you and I, we're the same way. You and I are designed to produce fruit. We're not designed to sit in our bed all day and not produce any kind of fruit and not do something with our life. And I'm all for relaxing. I'm all for laying in your bed. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is you and I are designed to go and do things that produces fruit. So it shouldn't come to a surprise to us when we produce fruit, especially the fruit that we're praying for. We may not understand how much we're going to get, but again, when we pray for something, we should expect God to give us overwhelming fruit. So much fruit that our branches feel like we're weighing down. But what do we do about that? What do we do when even the things that we thought that we wanted are weighing on us? We have so much fruit that we don't know what to do with it. Well, what does gardeners do? What do? I'm sure they see this before. This story, this example, read that there was this tree that had overwhelming amount of fruit, but this was not the first tree that produced too much fruit. This was not the first tree that produced so much fruit that it became unedible and sour. This is not the first time this has happened. So what do? What do they do when that happens? They prune it. They prune the tree or the bush or anything that produces fruit. They do the same thing. They prune it. And the definition of prune is to trim, cut back, or reduce something, or even removing of unnecessary parts. So again, pruning definition is to trim, cut back, or reduce something by removing unnecessary parts. And you and I have to do the same thing. We have an overwhelming amount of fruit. And again, maybe it's self-inflicted, maybe it's something we prayed for and didn't expect it to grow this big. Whatever the case may be, the problem is not that we bear fruit. We are designed to bear fruit. The problem is maybe we're not pruning enough, or maybe we're not pruning at all. We have to prune ourselves according to God's will and not our will. We have to remove unnecessary parts of our lives that don't align with God's will. Hebrews 12 verse 11 says, No discipline is enjoyable while it is happening. It's painful, but afterward there will be peaceful harvest of right living for those who are trained in this way. No discipline is enjoyable while it's happening. So I'm not saying once you align your will with God's, that pruning, that removing of unnecessary parts will be great. It'll be super enjoyable and super rewarding. Now, well, it will be rewarding, but this removing of unnecessary parts is not going to be enjoyable. This self-discipline is not going to be enjoyable because you and I may not always feel that it needs to be removed. Again, aligning ourselves with His will means we might have to get rid of things that we want to stay. We might have to get rid of things that we don't think we can get rid of, or that we don't want to get rid of. Or we may have to get rid of something that we've never been without. That's not easy. It's not easy to get rid of something you've had all your life. It's not easy to get rid of a habit that you've been doing all your life. It's not easy to get rid of someone you've maybe been with your entire life. But if we don't align ourselves with His will, if we don't go through the pruning process, the fruit of our life will weigh us down. The fruit of our life will allow us not to reach our full potential. But thankfully, our gracious and loving Father has given us the right to prune our own branches. When we align ourselves with Him, He prunes the branches for us, but only after we say it's okay. So this whole submit to Christ does not mean you no longer have the decision. It means to surrender your decision to God. Again, it's acknowledging that you do have the right to choose what fruit you have in your life. You have the right to choose however you want to live. But if you align yourself with His will, we'll start seeing those changes. We'll start seeing the desire to surrender our fruit to Him, to prune out the things that He says we need to get rid of. We'll start seeing the change of, you know what? Maybe I did need to get rid of that. Maybe I did need to lose this person. Maybe I did need to get rid of whatever habit it may be. We'll start to see that fruit, even though there's less fruit, taste a little sweeter. We may not have as much fruit in our life, and that is scary in most times. I'm sure it'll be scary. But the fruit that you do produce, even though it's less, will taste sweet. It'll be edible, and everybody around you, I promise you, will notice it. All those that eat from your fruit will notice that it's a little bit sweeter. They'll notice that they get a bad apple less. And again, this initial process of I surrender my fruit to you, Lord, I surrender that process of pruning to you will not be easy. But it will always be rewarding. And we'll always start to see that slight difference. And then it gets easier and easier to align your will with God's. John 15 verses 1 through 2 says, I am the true grapevine, and my Father is the gardener. This is Jesus speaking. He cuts off every branch of mine that doesn't produce fruit. And He prunes the branches that do bear fruit so they will produce even more. Allow God to be your gardener. Allow God to set the strainer, to set the rules on what should be removed and what should stay. And our lives, our fruit in our lives, will be much sweeter. Thank you so much for joining me this morning in the Daily. If you need prayer and you're watching on the Church Where You Are app, please hit the request prayer button. We have a team that would love to pray over you. If you're on any of our socials or the Church Where You Are online platform, please put it in the chat if you need prayer. Again, we have a team, a host team, a prayer team that would love to pray over you. And again, thank you so much for being here, and I hope to see you tomorrow in another edition of the Daily at the same time and place.